All right, good morning and welcome to the stock market update. It is Tuesday, April 12th, and there's a lot to talk about because stocks keep falling. As of yesterday, the S&P 500 closes below the 200-day and 50-day moving average. We'll take a look at this. The 10-year yield keeps making new highs. The VIX, the fear index, is up 15%. And today we have the most important inflation data, the CPI data. It came out really surprising. We'll talk about this. Plus, I'll give you an account update of how we did in March and also show you the trade that we did yesterday. Anyhow, before we dive in and show you what's happening in the markets, if this is your first time here, I'm Markus Heitkoetter. This is my head coach, Mark Hodge, and together we have more than 47 years of trading experience. And every morning we sift through a mountain of news websites, newsletters, and reports, and then we take the most important news and go live right here to share with you what do you need to know as you head into your trading day. Now, if this is your first time here, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry, we have a special video just for you that I will link to in the description, and that's a great place to get started. All right, how's it going, Mark?
It's going well, Marcus. It's going well.
It's
Markets had a rough kickoff to the week, though.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look at this, but before we do this, I want to share something with you really quick because yesterday I got an email from my brother, and the subject line was 90 days in 2022. Here are my highlights. So my brother Michael, he's 1.5 years younger than me, and he is a business consultant. So the email was directed to his customers to inspire them, but I thought, wow, it's a great idea to do the same for myself and just look back of what happened here
Sure.
in the first quarter, because I mean, the first quarter is over. So I wrote down my top 10 highlights here and want to share them with you. So financial, number one, made around $75,000 with trading, and we'll talk about this here a little bit later in the YouTube video, and also made around $25,000 with my passive investment. So $100,000 in the first quarter, not bad at all. Okay, I also got finally an offer on my real estate flipping nightmare. Geez, I got to tell you more about this maybe tomorrow or in another video. So these were three highlights financially. Then the highlights personally. Went to Jensen Beach in Florida with the kids for a National Junior Olympic Sailing Regatta, and we had a blast. Then I also went to New York for 9 days with Vivian to visit colleges and made lots of great memory. And really, another highlight, I watched Vivian play viola with Mark Wood. He's one of the founders of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. What a cool dude. Do you know the
Neat.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
Yeah, that's cool.
He's a cool dude. He has even longer hair than me. Okay. So, and if you see what we have accomplished here, Mark, I mean, we went together to Mexico for a week to trade and hang out with our mastermind members. That was a blast, right?
Yeah, lots of fun. Great group.
Yeah, and then also went to Las Vegas and gave two talks at the Money Show. Over the last quarter, we released 8 new versions of the PowerX Optimizer to keep pursuing my goal of making it the best trading software in the world. And we're going to release another version later tomorrow, probably tomorrow, later this week. Anyhow, super excited
Can't
about this.
wait.
And then, Mark, we made 91 videos here and got more than 500,000 views here on YouTube. That's really,
Nice.
really cool. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sharing this with you to brag. I'm sharing it with you, and I'm talking to you, the viewer, right now. I'm sharing this with you to show what's possible if you take action and go after your dreams. And I'm sharing it because how it made me feel, because after I wrote down the top 10 highlights of the first quarter, I realized it's a great way to stay motivated and see how far I've come. So if you are feeling stuck or feel like you're not making any progress, just look back at the past 90 days, see what you have accomplished, and you know what? Why don't you leave a comment and let us know here? Okay, but now let's take a look at the markets and let's see what's happening. So as of yesterday, the S&P 500 market, let's talk about it. S&P 500 had a rough day yesterday.
It did. It did. Hey, good stuff, by the way, Marcus. It's always good to review the highlights and what has been accomplished. So I like that. But yeah, as far as the markets go, Monday starting off on a rocky note. We opened lower and we sold off during the trading session, finishing near session lows. It just seemed like nobody wanted to be a buyer. And I saw you brought up.
Yeah, I just brought
Oh,
up the
now you have the
5-minute chart
5-minute
so that we
chart.
see it. But yeah, let's go back and yeah, the 200-day moving average. There you go.
Sure. So we've been flirting with that 200-day moving average for the last 3 trading sessions, and with the gap lower, we weren't even messing with that yesterday. But pulling up the 50-day moving average, you
But
see there we've been above it for weeks, and we closed below it yesterday.
Yeah. So, wow, and it sliced right through. I mean, it didn't even hesitate when the
Yeah.
50-day moving average. It didn't act as support at all. So that's super interesting. Also, I mean, yesterday, Bitcoin also, boom, right through. So Bitcoin yesterday was trading below 40,000 for the first time in a month. And that's just showing what's going on in the markets, right?
Yeah, there's uncertainty. You have risk on, risk off. Like I was gonna make a Karate Kid reference, but we
And
don't
that's
need to
fine. You
go
can do
there.
that.
But we today CPI data was released. We'll talk about that. But it just seemed like there was fear in the market, Marcus, and the VIX jumped as well.
Yeah, because this is where it's all about. So yesterday we had this jump, like, okay, CPI data this week. We talked about it yesterday. Not only inflation data, CPI, but also PPI. And this is where also we talked about it, earnings season kicking off. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of uncertainty on what will happen. Will inflation run hotter than expected? Will we still increase? Will we see a peak? How will companies report here? Then we have the news out of China that COVID cases are still rising, and China just keeps locking down. So we also saw that because of that, crude oil was moving lower. And I mean, at first you would think, well, that's a good thing when crude oil moves lower. But then we realized, oh, no, it's because there might be less demand out of China. So yesterday, crude oil was closing at, what, $95 a barrel. This morning, a little bit of a pop here.
yeah. It looks like that $100 mark. Traders like round numbers. Traders like round numbers. So we're staying below the 100 mark right now, but a little pop today. And Marcus, you're absolutely right. There's the CPI, PPI data, the focus on earnings. The 10-year yield yesterday too was in the spotlight.
Oh my gosh, yeah, let's bring this up. So the 10-year yield, we have been talking about it, rising, rising, rising. And look at this, very, very steep. You see it when we switch to a weekly chart of how usually it moves up nicely and orderly. But here, wow, I mean, what a move over the last few weeks.
Sure, and you could see the impact if you take a quick look at the Nasdaq and then the Dow. You could see how this is impacting trading right now because we're seeing that the concern with higher rates it's fueling the trade risk off in the Nasdaq right now. You look at that Nasdaq and it looks like we're just in a downtrend right now. But if you look at the Dow value stocks, we're just kind of sideways, right?
They're hanging in there. They're
Yep.
hanging in there. And that's clear, right? Because when the Fed is raising interest rates, it will be more expensive for these growth stocks to borrow money. And I mean, that's what growth stocks do. They borrow money to grow quickly, right? Value stocks, on the other hand, I mean, they're actually handing out money by paying dividends.
Profitable.
And
Exactly.
that's what we see here. Yeah, so super, super interesting. Okay, so let's actually, before we take a look at how March did in the first quarter for us, quick account update, let's take a look at the CPI report this morning.
See,
Because, so let's talk about what was everybody expecting before we go to the reveal and show what's happening. What was everybody expecting, Mark?
well, it was expected that inflation was going to be high, right? I mean, this is what we knew, and the forecast was an increase 1.2%. That was expected for CPI data, an increase of 0.5% for core CPI data, and this is where consumer prices did rise 8.5% year over
Oh,
year.
you're already giving it away. Don't give it away yet because
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will get back to this. No, because also the White House already said, okay, this will be extraordinary elevated. And
Yes.
that's where we had yesterday this uncertainty in the market because, I mean, with the White House already says, okay, be careful. It's always brace for impact. So
Sure.
let's see. Now we can take a look at the price and take a look at the economic calendar and see what happened here. So CPI, let's talk about this first.
Sure. So, consumer prices, the consumer price index, it did see an increase, the running a little hotter. It was in line with expectations, but at the highest level since 1981, going back 40 years.
Yeah. But here, this is the cool stuff. So let's talk about this.
Sure. So core CPI, which with core CPI, it excludes food and energy. It did increase by 0.3%, but that was lower than forecast.
Yeah, and this is very. Let's see. Let's take a look at the markets and see how the markets are reacting to this. And we switch to the E-mini Nasdaq, a 5-minute chart here. And oh, look at this fireworks! I mean, overnight we see super nervous, especially after the White House warned, it can be hotter than expected. Then slight optimism, and then when the numbers came in, yippee So why is that?
Yeah, jump more than 1.5%. The initial reaction now about 1.25% from where it was trading before the data was released. So nice reaction.
Yeah, and this is where it goes back to okay. So the core CPI, which is less energy, we already knew that energy prices will be elevated. I mean, we talked about crude oil prices here, and we said, okay, obviously here in March, I mean, this is here, right here, that's the beginning of March. So basically, we knew that energy prices are higher. So, but when we look at the core CPI, there's hope right now that inflation might have peaked. And this is what we're seeing in the market right now. And I mean, come on, seriously. The Fed raises interest rates for once for a quarter of a point and say, okay, yay, we did it. We got
We're done.
inflation under control.
Yeah. One hike doesn't tame the inflation beast, but traders, I mean, this is what traders are looking for, right? Traders are hoping that we had a unique environment, a unique situation where inflation's running hotter, and maybe, just maybe, as time goes by, it comes down. Now that's yet to be seen, but at least for today's CPI data, traders are liking that because it wasn't as high as expected.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it because I brought up Microsoft here. It's one of the trades that I did yesterday. So I sold the 277.50 put expiring April 14th. So let's see, how much did I get for this? I got $1.05 for this. And so this actually should turn out well. Let's see what Microsoft is doing pre-market here. Yeah, no surprise, up 1.17%. So this will be good. You're also in AMD, right?
Yeah, I didn't take Microsoft yesterday because I got assigned on AMD. You traded a lower strike in AMD, so you did not get assigned last week. And AMD and Microsoft are a little correlated, but looking at it pre-market, I'm going to be able to sell calls today. I could have
Oh my God.
sold calls yesterday, but I was looking for a little more of a pop, and that's what we got.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the wheel is all about. And I just want to share this really quick, and then I'll tell you where to get more information. Oh, it's a bit hard to see. So these are all the trades that I did in March, and so we see it's 33 trades, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. So let's actually do this because we actually only traded what 10 symbols. I mean, we have slightly different. I think I traded one and you did not trade one, but around this. So if you think about it, so there's what, like on average 3 trades per symbol, and that's exactly what it is. This is what the wheel strategy is all about. So the wheel strategy is all about selling puts, and then if price is closing below the strike price, you're getting assigned. And this is what you did with AMD, and for me TPR. And then after we got assigned, we can sell calls against our existing positions. And that's what the wheel is all about. And this is where we are using the PowerX optimizer here to find the best stocks to trade. And this is where yesterday I saw Microsoft. There were a few others yesterday that were popping up that were quite interesting. For example, Clack here, if you look at
Yeah.
this. But that's also another semiconductor. And if we go to the asset correlation tool, and if you look, for example, for you were in AMD, and then we bring up Clack, we see that there's a pretty high correlation here if you go over the last year or 9 months to AMD and also here to Microsoft. And this is why we decided to pass on this one. But I mean, that was definitely a good one. What else did we see yesterday? I think NVIDIA popped up. So
NVIDIA.
there were quite a few yesterday that were popping up.
Yeah, lots of good opportunities, and that's what we see. You know, when there is a pullback in the market, there is a down day. We know there's opportunity there, and sometimes it can be a little scary, right? But that when traders are fearful, that's when it's fun.
Right. Okay. So we got to hop over right now to trade with our mastermind. I'll link to the account update that I did yesterday in the video here so that you can take a look at this. So check it out, and then we'll be back here tomorrow morning to let you know what's happening in the markets and also how exactly we are trading the markets. Have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.